Hello, Daniel Yuck here. Thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate you. Today, I want to dive into part 3 of how I go about tattooing clouds. If you are not aware, I made 2 other parts where part 1, we went over how I go about clouds doing one way. Same thing in part 2, went about showing you how I do clouds another way. Part 3, I want to kind of put our learnings and findings to the test, and I want to tattoo this here with you all in this video. I will leave links for you in the description below so you can download this on your end and follow along should you choose to do so. If you have any questions at any point throughout this video, I'm going to highly encourage you to drop a comment down below, and I will do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. Please don't forget to hit my subscribe button for me and ring that bell, as I'm going to be bringing more videos like this for you all. I do also have social medias under the same name as this YouTube channel. I would truly appreciate the support over there as well. If you enjoy my channel and find my videos helpful, consider becoming a Patreon or sending over super thanks, as I would truly appreciate your support. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive straight on into this. Where I am going to begin is I want to determine if I am going to be using lines or if I'm not. So this right here is going to be fully subjective. You can go and hardline every single thing should you choose to do so, and then add shading wherever you see fit. That is one way to approach it. That is one way that I would go about planning this tattoo, or I could approach this entire tattoo with no lines. So those are pretty much the only options that are coming to mind. I mean, we can use dot work should we choose to do so, but we'll go ahead and get there when we get there at a different point. For now, I'm going to stick to the part 1 and 2 fundamentals of lining and shading, and I'm going to be comfortable picking and making decisions along the way. So that's the idea. I want to get thinking, I want to get choosing, and I want to be comfortable doing and planning out this tattoo. Once I've determined if I want to do this tattoo with lines or no lines, I can now proceed to pick out the gear that I'm going to be using. So let's say, for example, if I want to go through this tattoo with minimal lines, which is a no line tattoo, I'm probably going to be using something like this. This is an Inkclaw 003 round liner, so that way I can be real accurate with where I'm placing my shading. And I also do love that stippled dot speckled textured look, so therefore me personally as an artist, I would go with this needle. Keep in mind, I want you to exercise making your own comfortable decisions on your end. Figure out what you like, what you don't out of these videos, so that way you can really get the most for your time here. Me personally, I kind of want to go with shading, and I don't want to shade inside this sun right here. I think that if I can shade outside right here and define the sun using the outside shading would be a better approach, so that way the skin color is the color of the sun, and then the shading rests on the clouds as well as the sun rays. And again, I'm not doing any defined lines. I think that may be a cool way to go about it. Let me know what you think about that idea in the comment section down below. Let me know how you would approach this tattoo. For this demonstration, I want to use my dynamic gray wash set along with dynamic black. So I'm going to do dynamic for full saturation, and this is going to be 20, 40, 60, 80 that you see right here, and that is the pre-made dynamic gray wash set. I will leave links for you in the description below. I'm going to be doing this on Reelskin. Part 1 and 2 were also done on Reelskin. For the tattoo machine, I'm going to be using the CNC Q2 Terminator edition. I will leave links for that for you as well below, and that is going to be the setup for this demonstration right here. And again, it's going to be 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. At this point, we have the machine ready, we have the inks poured out, we know what needles we're going to be using and the style that we want to go with. Once we have everything planned out, we're ready to proceed and tattoo. One thing that I want to point out is if that you're going to go with a completely opposite style of how I'm going to be approaching it within this demonstration, you are not wrong. From here on out, all we have to do is focus on the technical application and figure out the motions in which best benefit the design at hand and that sort of thing. So from here, now that we have the game plan, now that we're all ready to go, we should be more confident, and or at least feeling more confident with what we need to do within this tattoo. My plan of approach is to use shading all the way through these clouds right here, and I'm going to kind of approach it the same way we did at part 1 and part 2, and I'm just going to use shading, no hard lines. And then over here in this area, I'm going to give it some light shading in the background with these beams being a lot more darker, and then this area right here is going to stay open. We're also going to have some more open areas right here where the clouds meet, so all the darkest points of the clouds are going to be right here, and then we're going to have open areas right here in between. I think that would look really nice. Since this is the sun in the design, I want that to be the brightest point. So everything around here should theoretically be lighter. So with that being said, I'm going to go with this bottom area starting at around maybe 80 and then gradually build my way up to the 20% up here. And then these beams, I'll get them to around 60. Kind of something like that. So you can already see that I am planning it, but more or less that's pretty much how it's all going to go down. I am going to start with dipping in the 80% and then build up down here at 80, and then if I want some areas to be darker, I'll go ahead and add straight black and just use a light pressure to do so. So let me make sure I'm on camera, and then we're going to begin building up. Right now I'm running the CNC Q2 Terminator edition. I am running at 5.5 volts. And I'm using a standard 3-round liner from Inkclaw. I'm sorry, a 00 3-round liner from Inkclaw. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my time, be patient with my technical approach, and I'm going to apply this as best I can. I need to be, or I would rather be accurate and have a final read on my design as opposed to have some inconsistencies within my work. One thing that I found is that patience goes a long way when we're tattooing. So I have my boundary right here, and I'm going to kind of continue that with the entire bottom row, and then from there I'm going to build off of that shading however I'd like. So if you'll notice, I am using one motion, so I'm starting here and ending here. And I'm going to do that same direction all the way throughout this entire bottom. I'm not going to go this way right now. I'm not going to go this way. I'm going to lay the base layer down using one specific motion this way. And then from there I'm going to go and start shaping it up as you saw me almost doing right there. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of set the boundary first. And I think that this base layer is really important. As every other layer, you want to make sure that we can be as consistent as we can. Spread these layers out evenly. I'm going to define it a little bit right here. Then I'm going to continue working this area. I'm going to go back and shape everything back up soon. All I really focus on this first layer is to get a consistent boundary set out, so that way I've established my darkest point, lightest points, and then I work off of there. And you can see every motion that I'm making is pretty much almost identical to the next, and I feel that's where we get that smooth, consistent read from, is those sort of motions. I've only dipped into the 80% one time, and that's what's got me this far. I'm going to dip back in right now so that way I can have more ink. I want to be consistent with every boundary I lay down here. And then I have this already established, so now from here I'm starting to feel more comfortable to begin shaping and sculpting and cross hatching to smooth things out to get my darker points and lighter points going here. We're going to repeat as needed all the way throughout the design until we've accomplished that first row. We are practicing on fake skin, so we can go back and try this multiple times. We can try one with a lining style, we can try one with shading in different placements. We can do that. The idea with fake skin is to allow you to have that sort of practice available as needed and at your disposal. I will leave links for you in the description below to this fake skin Reelskin, so that way you can check it out on your end. So far I'm liking how smooth this first layer is, and this is just going over it one time very, very softly. Making sure I'm on camera here for you all. Still at 80, I have not changed that. As I change everything, I'll tell you along the way. And then I just need this last part right here to complete the first layer of my shading here. And so far, for this being the first layer, I like the way that this looks. I'm dipping back into the 80 right now just to make sure that I can be as consistent as I can. Some parts I'll go ahead and sometimes miss where I was supposed to originally land. I don't really get too focused on that. I could easily adapt and fix that along the way, as we still have some more to go here. Now you can see though, the first entire layer right here is laid down, and that already looks nice. Some would probably maybe even move on from here, but for me, I want to make it a little bit more full. As you can see, we can see all of my start points there, and that's where I want to go and kind of define it more and smooth this out with cross hatching. I can use 80 for this, or 60, to each their own. For me, I'm just going to use straight 80, and I'm just going to focus on my pressure that I'm putting down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin to kind of shade in the opposite direction here while following the cloud. Still running at 5.5 volts. And then I'm pulling some lines this way. I want to bring the shading up a little bit. And I'm going to repeat that process throughout the tattoo here. Still working with 80%, solely 80. And right now you can see that I'm defining my darkest point here and just expanding, so to speak, the look of, or developing this look. So right here you can see that this is a lot more smoother than the one next to it, and that's the idea behind it. You kind of just build it up to your satisfaction. You can do this with a 3-round liner if you're comfortable. You can do this with a round mag. You can do this with a straight mag. I encourage you to use what you like on your end. Find out what textures you like. And then from here we can move on to the next part right here, and again repeat that all the way across. One thing that I like with clouds is that the values that you're placing, how your darker and lighter areas, you can kind of place them where it practically makes sense to you. I encourage you to use your artistic spirit and kind of just try different things, and again, you can do this multiple times. One thing that I'm always mindful of is my hand speed and voltage. I want these dots that I'm putting in next to each other to come out consistent. I want them to look smooth and even. I don't want little dots darker than others in certain areas, and I feel that this is also great for practicing that. I'm going to switch over to a time-lapse mode so that way I can speed through this process. If you have any questions, by all means, drop them down below and I'm going to do my best to assist you in the best possible direction. As I'm making different choices throughout the tattoo, I'll come back and update you all, so don't worry about that. So I got the first 80% layer done. All of this was done with 80%. The next part around here, I'm gonna do around 60%, maybe right here. And then these areas right here, I'm gonna do 40 and 20, and then the same thing over here, about 40%. And then we'll move on to the beams. Now I'm switching to the 60%, and I'm gonna use the exact same approach with this area right here. I'm gonna start with the darkest areas up top, and again, you can kind of adjust that to your artistic liking on your end. There's many ways that we can go about applying these clouds here. This is just one of the many that I chose. So now what I'm going to do is I use the needle size to my advantage, since it's such a thin line. It doesn't show up once we've applied the shading. So you can use those little thin lines to kind of mark your boundaries and then go around, because they're not really defined lines like it would be with a 7-round liner, and even a 5-round liner would show up a lot more. And then you can bring down your shading as much as you want right here. And if I haven't set it right now, I'm using the 60%. You can bring that down as much as you'd like there. And I'm going to do 60 for all of this area and around here, some 40s and 20s up top over here, and I'll tell you that as I go. Still running at 5.5 volts, haven't changed that at all. Keep in mind, if you did part 1 and 2, you'll notice that there's just subtle variation from the 80 and the 60. However, on human skin, when it heals, it does heal these values. It still will heal lighter because there's still different gray washes. I'm not really doing a lot to apply pressure with my needle. I'm actually just letting my hand speed and voltage kind of do the trick for me here. And I'm just trying to use the needle as softly as I can. And that's pretty much my thought process when I'm applying this. I'm just using the very, very edge of the needle here. And I'm using layers to achieve different tones there. I'm going to switch back over to a time-lapse mode and complete all of this area right here using the 60, and then as I make different choices and decisions, I'll go ahead and update you all real time. This is what we are working with right now. So this section right here is 60%, and then 80, and then this area right here I'm going to do with 20, and then this area right here I'm going to do with 40, and then over here I'll probably do 40 and then 60 right here on this side. Same thing with over here, I'm going to do around 20, 40, and then 60 over here. So that's how I'm going to approach these areas right here. I'm going to move on to this area right here, and I'm going to do 20 for these right here, 40, and then 60, and then it's going to be 20 for right here, and then 40 for right here, and then 60 over here. This is where we are at right here. I'm going to continue this with 60, 60, and 60, or maybe 40 and 60, forgive me. So I'm going to do 40, 60, and then I'm going to do 60 and then 60. And then we'll move on to the rays here shortly. Kind of like etching in the boundary right here. And then I'm able to, from there, blend it all in with shading. So these little etch lines aren't really defined or pronounced. And right now I'm using 40%. And where the needle goes down, that's the darkest point. And then I just kind of whip out like you see me doing here to create a transition. And then I use cross hatching to go and smooth everything out. And I can even go 40 all the way through this way if I choose to do so. I could probably do that. I don't see why not. So right now I'm throwing some whip shading in a different direction, so that way I get a smoother look in these shades. And I'm probably just going to do 40 all the way through here. I don't see why not. I know I said 60, but 40 seems more appropriate. So you can see these lines are really thin, really faint. And then when I want to bring the clouds more down, I just simply use a pendulum motion in these open areas, and sometimes I'll even do a circular motion like this. And I'm doing this very, very lightly here, so that way I can bring the clouds more down. And then I'm going to continue this process until I'm done with these. This is where we are with the clouds. Now I'm going to move on to the beams right here. So for the beam, I'm going to start with 40% right here. And then I'm going to just simply start in this area right here. And then I'm not going to line it, but more so I'm going to use a pendulum motion back and forth to start inputting this part of the design right here. And if I want, I can even use just whip strokes this way, to each their own. I'm going to use a little bit of both where I see necessary. So keep in mind I'm using 40%, and then we're going to repeat this process with all of them. I may do some 60s to darken up certain spots. We'll see as we go along. You can see though, as I apply these beams, I'm trying to make straight motion so that way I have a textured effect while having that sort of cohesive look to it. I don't want to kind of just be all over the place. I want this to make sense still. And this is the approach that I'm going to take to apply these beamed areas right here. I'm going to be switching back from 40 and 60 for now. Right now I'm still at 40. With a dash of 60. I dipped into the 40 real quick, and then I dipped into the 60 real quick. So what I'm doing is I'm having the darker side on this side right here, and then it's going to be the same thing for these beams here. I'm using 40% right now. So that's what I'm going to do around the entire beam section right here, and I'm not going to do any shading within here. I'm actually going to do the shading all on the outside of the sun just to confirm. I'm going to switch over to a time-lapse mode, and then I'll come back and update you all as needed. Right now what I'm doing is I'm using the 20% and I'm just simply building lightly around this sun area. As you see me doing here, I'm just adding a very light layer of shading right here, very subtle. And then I'm going to do that in between the rays here. And again, this is the dynamic 20%. Just going to do a little bit of textures in between these right here, like so, all the way up. And I'm going to kind of just continue. So I'm still using 40 for these, and I'm just layering it up. And then I'm going to do 20 for the inside right here. I have all the beams done here, and from here you saw that this last one was just a line, and I kind of implemented that beam right there to even everything out. You can go ahead and do so should you choose to do that on your end. It's fully up to you. From here, now what I'm going to do is I want to add some light dot work, or stipple shading in this area right here in between these rays right here. So allow me to show you real time what I mean. And keep in mind, all of this was done with 40. I kind of just layered over one another. Right now I'm going to be using 20 for this area around the beams and this part of the sky. And what I want to do is I kind of want to just have one light layer of, or a light layer rather, of some just dots here. I think that that would sit well and kind of tie everything in really nice. So I'm going to use 20 to do that, and then I'm just going to kind of go in motions all around here on up. Here we are at a top view, and here are the results that I came up with. Now the entire approach was done with the CNC Q2 Terminator Edition tattoo machine, along with just a 00 3-round liner from Inkclaw. I will leave links for you in the description below. Here are the results that I accomplished. This is what I achieved in this session right here. As you can see, the design does vary just a tad bit from what the original stencil said. This was just a line right here, and then I went ahead and implemented another beam as well as some lighter beams in between right here. I left the light source completely alone, which was the sun right here, and then I did the clouds accordingly as you saw me in the video there. That was the way that I approached this. I do hope that I can help you in a better direction. I do hope that you can find some value within this video right here. However, should you have any questions about anything that you saw or heard throughout this video, I'm going to highly encourage you to drop a comment down below, and I will do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring my bell, as I will be bringing more videos like this for you all. I also have social medias under the same name as this YouTube channel. I would truly appreciate your support over there as well. Should you find my videos helpful and enjoy my content, consider becoming a Patreon or sending over a super thanks, as I would truly appreciate your support. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. You have a great day.